Greetings and welcome to Perfectly Planted. I'm Vesime Schroering, also known as Veggie Vess, and I'm so excited that you guys are all here with us today. I'm a plant-based health and wellness enthusiast, and I'm really on a mission to help others live and feel their best lives.
And welcome. I'm Daphne Bascom. I'm a plant-based physician and a certified health coach.
Daphne and I started Perfectly Planted as a means of exploring the various aspects of health and wellness, specific to nutrition, physical activity, mind and body, and physical social connection. We are so excited you are here with us today, and our goal really is to plant seeds of positivity, knowledge, and empowerment so that you can optimize your health and the health of those around you that you love. One thing that we realize is optimizing our health is a journey. It's not one particular point in time. And we're so excited to take this journey with you. Thank you for allowing us to be part of it.
And today we're really excited. So I have the pleasure of having a close friend and an overall amazing human being join us on Perfectly Planted. So with her permission, I'd like to introduce Dr. Priti Lakhani. Dr. Lakhani was born in India and is a proud global citizen. Her drugs of choice are chocolate, I can attest to that, process improvement, and hiking, and we walk a lot. On Saturday nights, she can be found curled up on the couch watching movies with her bibliophilic husband and her perfect, handsome son. Her favorite places to be are on the phone, where we spend a lot of time, in a plane, where she spends a lot of time being a pilot, and in Paris. Priti's an enthusiastic fan of Kermit the Frog, Wonder Woman, and she's a big fan of Kermit the Frog and Kendrick Lamar. Hansel and Gretel have nothing on her because she leaves crumbs everywhere she goes. And that's literally true. Priti adores her friends, is fierce about her family, and her love language is food. And her favorite sentence, and I get this sentence from her all the time, is why? And after that intro, I feel like Priti can simply drop the mic. Dr. Lakhani, welcome to Perfectly Planted.
Thank you, Daphne. Thank you, Vesime. You guys have just been such inspirations for me on this health journey as well. So it's lovely to be able to spend time with you guys. Look how beautiful they are, you guys.
Look how beautiful you are. Dr. Lakhani, if you don't, I know Daphne pretty much did say drop the mic. You are so impressive, and I am especially, I adore you. But would you mind introducing yourself and telling others and the rest of us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. I came to America when I was 7. And I'm an immigrant, and that's a big part of who I am and also my health and diet journey, if you will. Mm-hmm. Food is the love language for Indians, right? So if you're sad, have something to eat. If you're happy, let's celebrate with food, that sort of thing. I would say my food icons are the people that I really learned a lot about food from were the women in my life. So like my mom and my aunts. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. I am a physician. I practiced clinically for 15 years, went back to school, got a master's in healthcare management, and then have worked as an administrator in various realms since then.
And Priti, I know your love language is food. And we've known each other a long time now. And I understand you are or were a vegetarian, but have really moved toward being more plant-based. So can you share with us what that looks like for you? What being plant-forward means to you, and what that means to your family and your love and passion for food?
Sure. So growing up, yogurt, milk, all of that was a big part of our diet. And as I got older and I come from a tradition of absolute nonviolence in thought, word, or deed, right? And that felt very comfortable to me being vegetarian, of course. But then as I got older and I started to kind of learn how milk was derived in this country, and every place except where you go and actually just milk the cow and then drink the milk directly, it became very clear to me that I wasn't 100% comfortable that we weren't harming the animals that were giving us our dairy products and eggs and such. And so I decided to kind of go away from that. And I can tell you that there was one time, and I was actually pregnant with my son at the time. So, this is 18 years ago, but I cracked an egg open and there was a little tiny semi-formed something in there. And I was pregnant at the time. And I remember thinking, I feel like the universe is trying to tell me something. And so I decided, I made a conscious decision, maybe 2 years ago, Daphne, would you say? Maybe even 3 years ago, to veer towards more of a vegan lifestyle. I still have ice cream every once in a while. But for the most part, I would say I'm 95% vegan.
Add on one question to that, then I'll turn it over to Vesime.
Yeah,
as a physician, I would appreciate hearing from you. Did you learn about nutrition when you were training? And did you understand, aside from, I'd say for me, part of my journey started with health, and then it went to ethics, and then it went to environment. And it sounds like you had a similar journey, but it's also interesting that despite the fact that we are told so much during our education, we're never really told a lot about food.
No, I had very little formalized education in nutrition, right? I would say, I don't even know if we spent 6 weeks on nutrition, 1 hour a week, right? 6 hours total. It wasn't until I started reading about the differences in how East Indians metabolize certain things. So, we have a predilection for familial hypercholesterolemia. Our artery walls are a little thinner, and how American medicine, all the research wasn't really focused on a broad ethnic base. And I actually just found out that NIH did not require women to be in research studies till the 90s, right? So it was a big self-education, if you will. And about 10 years ago, my dad had an emergent bypass. And my dad's been vegetarian his whole life. He's a swimmer. He's been meditating for 40 years. I mean, he's sort of the picture of health, is very socially connected. And it really gave me pause and made me consider, this is a person who was doing almost everything right. And what was the difference, right? Between why did he need a bypass when ostensibly, right, he had checked the boxes of living healthfully. And so it started off as a personal journey. It's really interesting, right? I grew up eating 90% plant-based, right? I mean, every meal was rice, lentils, vegetables, and home baked bread, right? And when I went off to med school and college, I veered away from that towards a more sort of American diet. And it's funny, I'm 52, and I'm coming 2 years ago. I came back to an Indian diet, right? And all of a sudden I became very interested when in cooking. So I started cooking with my mom, and she, the joke was, I've been trying to teach you how to cook for 50 years. And I was like, yeah, I didn't know it was good for you back then. And, one of my great sort of stories is when we lived in India, we were very poor. And for dessert, my mom would give us beets, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was a resident, and I was talking to one of my colleagues, and he was eating an Oreo cookie. And we were talking about Oreos. And I said, I never grew up eating those. And he said, what did you eat for dessert? And I said, beets. And he said, we're so deprived. and I kind of want to call him back and say, Jonathan, actually, no. Mom was doing me a favor, right?
Yep.
Anyway, because beets are sweet, right?
And they're good for you.
Yeah.
Very good. Lots of iron. That's so interesting. So you are my Wonder Woman. But all of your accomplishments, and that's really inspiring to hear about your journey till this date. What does a day in the life of Dr. Lakhani look like when it comes to nutrition and your physical activity, sleep, and also stress reduction? You mentioned your dad does meditation. I want to hear from you. I know you are very busy. You have a lot going on, so would love to hear what your day in the life looks like.
Sure. So probably about 5 years ago, I started really incorporating meditation. My dad, for our 13th birthday, all I wanted was a pink 10-speed bicycle. But no, what he got us instead was meditation lessons, which, in retrospect, now I really appreciate, but I didn't when I was 13. You can imagine. So sleep is a priority for me. And if you've been a resident or you've been a new mom, right? Which I know, Vesime, you have been many times. And if you've been sleep deprived, you really understand how it impacts not just your sort of cognitive function, but I think we often compensate for our sleep deprivation with food, right? Or caffeine. And one of the things I did before I went to med school is I decided that I went off caffeine completely, and I decided to use it medicinally. So if I was on call, I would, have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea at 3:00 in the afternoon to kind of get me through. And I really started to understand the power of that. So as a result of that, sleep is very, very important to me. I actually am not a partier. I get in bed around 8:30 or 9, and I read and talk to my husband for an hour and a half, and I don't get up till 6:30. And even if I am awakened, I try to stay in bed. And I feel very strongly about protecting 8 hours every single night, even if you don't use it. And there are days that sometimes I just need more sleep. One of the other things is I do not use an alarm. And the reason I don't use an alarm is because I think it's an awful way to wake up. To be jarred out of your sleep. I trained myself away from using an alarm by first using a light, ambient light that brightens very softly. And then now I just sort of get up at the same time every day. Now, that's not to say if I have to catch an early flight or something's going on and I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning, I do use an alarm. But for 90% of the time, I don't use an alarm. I wake up and I meditate, and I have a specific mantra I use, and it's in Sanskrit, but it translates to "I am pure soul," and I pair it with a breathing practice. And I do it for about 20 minutes, and then I wake up, and it's incredibly It's taken me a while to train, but it's incredibly effective. Wake up, brush my teeth, out the door, and I try to do Pilates 2 to 3 times a week, and or lift weights twice a week, and I walk 6 to 10 miles a day. And the walking has become many times a coping mechanism. If I have a tough meeting, it's been one of the positives about COVID is being able to work remotely, is being able to say, I'm going to take a walk while I take this phone call. And what's happened is, of course, Daphne inspired me to do that initially, but what's happened now is I'll have colleagues that when they send me the invite, in the location, they'll put walking meeting because they want to get up and move too. Yeah. And I get to, I usually this is my office. I usually get to work. We're all working remotely now. About 7:30 for breakfast, I usually have overnight oats with a vegan protein powder. And then at lunch, salad, piece of bread, and some sort of protein, usually garbanzo beans or black beans, some sort of beans. And then try to take a walk at 3:00. It's kind of my time to get up and move and be away. Finish around 6. Usually have my goal is to have 9 servings of fruits or vegetables a day. And sometimes instead of the overnight oats, I have a protein shake in the morning. And one of my favorite things is a Vitamix. And it's easier sometimes to drink your greens, than to eat them. And so that's a sneak way of getting that in. And then dinner is usually just a kind of a quinoa based, some sort of grain. And then usually it's, again, like a garbanzo bean or tempeh or tofu based, something or another. And my dessert is a piece of really dark chocolate.
Or beets.
No, I'm not.
I'll pick chocolate over beets. Not
here anymore.
No disrespect to your mom, but I would pick dark chocolate over beets.
I wonder if you could have chocolate covered beets.
Drizzle chocolate over your beets. Yeah.
I bet you that would taste good.
Yeah.
You'd have to work on the consistency.
Yes.
Yeah. Daphne thinks dry oatmeal tastes good. So
it does. It tastes really good.
I'm not going to say anything. Daphne's taste buds her palate is different than everybody else's, I think. But anyway, yeah, that's usually, and wind down and I try to do a little stretching at night. One of the things that I've found as I've gotten older is my flexibility has decreased. So I am focused on that.
Yes.
The last 2 or 3 years.
And it's, for the most part, despite how active you are, no injuries, minimal injuries. I know you've had a few hiccups here and there, but first of all, you don't look a day over 40.
That's
so whatever you're doing, you need to keep it up.
Thank you. The other part that I forgot to mention is I am also pretty militant about water.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I have all these ways of getting water, right? Herbal teas. I dehydrate lemons and drop them in my water. Just every which way. I have water sitting by my desk. I have water in the car. I have water by my bed. So, yeah.
That's why you walk 6 miles to and from the loo.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of bathroom breaks in my day as well. I'll cut it out.
I can imagine.
Can I take us back to something that I think we're both passionate about? Because number one, I know you talk about your dad and your mom and I have been blessed to get to know them. And they are just the most amazing, kind, giving people. And you are a mirror image of them, but they are healthy. And I don't think we actually give credit to all of the things you've talked about in your life. I mean, you have talked about the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, whether it's nutrition, physical activity, social connection, stress reduction, sleep. You have hit on all of them. But how do you view that spectrum of what you just described in terms of impacting our ability to help people not get sick? I mean, today we're a society where we wait till people get sick and then we give them the tools, pills or other things to get healthy. But why don't we flip the paradigm and actually equip people with the knowledge to get healthy and stay healthy so they don't have to get sick?
Well, I think that, I think that's a cultural phenomenon, right? In the sense that we've somehow considered Oreo cookies or processed food equivalent with progress, right? When actually what we're finding is the way we used to eat is far more healthy, right? And actually far more progressive in a lot of ways. And so what I can tell you is my mom walks 5 miles a day. My dad has, swims, and before he swam, he did yoga every day. And I can really see the effects of that. My mom is 70, almost 79. My dad's 86. And they're pretty with it, they're healthy and they're active and they're very connected socially. One of the positives about being part of an immigrant community is the social connection that happens with that, in the sense that immigrants come together, right? And are very supportive of each other. And certainly they have benefited from that, as have I. So to answer your question, Daphne, I don't know. I think it's very interesting. In my travels, what I've learned or what I've seen is the more urban, the more progressive, the more modern, and I'm putting modern in air quotes, perhaps even the more Western societies become, the less healthy their lifestyles are.
No, you're correct. And it's funny, as you were talking about Oreos, I was thinking back to when I was younger, and we were not raised in households with a lot of money either. And, we aspired to have enough to go celebrate at Burger King, which
Right.
isn't the thing that you really want to be aspiring to, or at least that's what we know now. But yes, I agree with everything you said.
Yeah. I was in Japan in 2019, and what was fascinating to me about Japan is how expensive fruits and vegetables are there. And the reason that actually they're so expensive that people take fruit as a gift for a party or a birthday. And the reason for that is because they have such little farmland. And you mentioned in the introduction that I'm a pilot. And one of the nice things about being a pilot is this perspective of being up high, right? And looking down. And the lovely thing about living in Kansas or in the Midwest is you see all this farmland. And it was really moving to me the first time that I came back from Japan, and I went back up in the plane, and I was struck by how plentiful farmland is here. and how grateful I felt for it. That fruits and vegetables can be grown here without being horribly expensive. And by horribly expensive, I mean, a pound of cherries was $40, right, in Japan. So, I'm grateful to live in a place where food isn't prohibitively expensive now. Organic food and fresh fruits and vegetables are more so. But in Japan, it's absolutely inaccessible.
It is absolutely the culture. I agree with you. I think that you mentioned Paris being one of your favorite places. I know that when we went to France, farmers actually hold the same respect level as physicians, and everybody has great pride in their farmland. And I think that, not to say here in the United States we don't pride farmland, because I absolutely think we do. I just think it's definitely a different outlook than some other countries. And it's interesting because there's that level of pride versus economic gain. And so I think that there's definitely just variation country to country. Absolutely, you make such a great point. Now, I know you were recently featured on Women and Wellness's blog for having the Priti Plantiful pantry. And I would love to know what your favorite plant-based snack is. And you can't say it's beets. It has to be something else.
So I'm going to just go to my little thing right here.
Okay.
Your snack drawer?
Yes, I do have a snack drawer. So, sorry, there's more than I expected here.
A lot in your mini pantry.
Yeah, he's right. I do leave crumbs everywhere I go. And so, all right. So, don't tell my husband. Okay, so Quest protein chips, one of my favorite 3:00 snacks. Baruka's trail mix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really Baruka nuts, yum.
Are you guys familiar with these? I don't know if you've talked to them.
Where do you get those, Priti?
I get them online.
Oh,
You get them at the grocery store. You can just go to barukas.com, I think, and get them. But they're delicious, and they are from Africa, I think sub-Saharan Africa, and they're great. And then I've got, so that is the trail mix, right? And I promise I'm not being paid by Barukas, but
no, we'll post the affiliate link after.
And then these are the actual nuts, and then this is just some almonds. Yeah. So you guys have busted me. That's so it's really great, right? This screen, you can only see this, but inside I've got, on the parts you can't see, I've got all my snacks. And then I have a little refrigerator, and my favorite thing to do is quick pickle vegetables. And so I've got some pickled carrots in there. So sometimes when I need a crunch, I will eat that. It's a great time of year for apples, and I happen to have an apple tree. And so I made some applesauce in my Instant Pot. And when I'm on a meeting, I have to eat quiet food, so no one can tell I'm eating. That's the snack that I have.
That sounds delicious.
You are too cute. And going back to the Baruka nuts, Vesime, if you have not tried them, they are so addictive.
Check them out. We'll post the link after this for everybody who wants to check them out as well. Yeah.
And just wrapping up our conversation about food, in the fact that I've seen some of the most adorable pictures of your mom trying to teach you how to cook.
I'm not going to, it's not going well.
You've got plenty of time.
Yes.
Do you have any personal or family recipes that are your favorites that you want to share with anyone who's listening today?
Yeah. So my personal favorite sort of recipe is chana masala, which you can get at Indian restaurants. But when you eat it at Indian restaurants, it's pretty oily. It's pretty greasy. And so I make it in the Instant Pot. And my secret weapon is dried mango powder, which you can actually get online or get at any Indian grocery store. And what I like to do is sprinkle that on. If you put it in chana masala, it gives it just a more depth of flavor. But it's also great on watermelon and vegetables, and it gives it just a little tartness. That's delicious. So that's my secret, not so secret anymore, but my secret ingredient. When people say, this is so good, what is it? I'm like, oh,
I won't tell your mom next time I see her.
Secret recipe.
Yeah. But dried mango powder.
Okay.
So would you mind sharing your recipe with us for the chana masala?
No, I don't mind at all.
Okay, awesome. We'll post that after this.
Post it after this, yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Yes.
Priti, we do like to close every episode by asking our several questions, just to help us learn a little bit more about you. So our first question is, what's one thing you are deeply grateful for today?
So many things. Well, I am grateful. I guess, the biggest thing is I'm really grateful that I'm able to move, right? To get up every day and move. And that seems like a very basic thing. I could say I'm grateful for my family, which I am. I'm grateful for my home. I'm grateful that I live in this country. I'm grateful that, there's a million things, right? But honestly, the biggest thing I'm grateful for is the ability to take a walk and to get up out of bed easily. One of the things that, as a podiatrist, one of the things that I always like to do is watch people try to take off their shoes. And I was always surprised at how few people had the mobility to be able to lean down and take off their shoes. So that's the thing that I'm the most grateful for.
That's a good one.
It is. And do you have any favorite life quote or poem that, I know you said you have a mantra, but is there something that's special to you? And if so, what meaning does it have in your life?
Sure. So probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, my parents took me to Mahatma Gandhi's home, right? And, I was really surprised to learn he was a terrible student and he didn't get good grades. They had his report card there and all of that. But the quote that I really try to live by is, my life is my message. And, when you have kids, right, it isn't what you say, it's what you do that they're watching. And the way you live, I think, speaks so much more loudly than what you say. And I guess that would be the quote.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So finally, what seeds of positivity and or empowerment can you plant with our listeners today?
I would tell you that one of the biggest things that I've learned in the past 10 years is, I thought that when you worked out, you had to go hard, and you had to go for an hour and you had to be all sweaty. And that's great, but it's not always possible. When I first started doing yoga, I was doing hot yoga, and this is 20 years ago. And, it took 2.5 hours out of my day. And that was when I had that time. And when I didn't have that time, I had to really shift the way that I exercised. And so the way I get in 6 to 10 miles every day isn't to do 6 to 10 miles all at once. It's a mile or two in the morning, a mile or two in the afternoon, a mile or two in the evening. And so just do one thing, and if it's something as simple as, I had an assistant who said she drank a half a gallon of chocolate milk a day. And I said, just, why don't you just go down to a quart? Mm-hmm. And then when she went down to a quart, I was like, what would happen if you just shifted to water? And it was lovely, right? Because the first week she did that, she said, I lost 5 pounds. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think it sort of opened her eyes to what a half a gallon of chocolate milk will do to you every day. Right. And she's on a roll. So just small, tiny shifts, right? One of the things that I learned in a class when a patient comes to you and they're eating really poorly and they've stopped off at McDonald's and every day or whatever, one of the things you could say is, did you eat the tomato and lettuce that's in your hamburger? Good job. Great job getting a vegetable in, right? Yep. And how to shift that to the positive. So just small shifts. Make one small shift. And it could just be, I will lay in bed for 8 hours every night this week.
Right. I love sleep too.
Don't we all?
Yes.
Dr. Lakhani, thank you so very much for joining us today on Perfectly Planted. I think actually, Daphne, you may have had one more question.
No, I was just going to ask Priti if there's anyone listening who wants to get in contact with you on social media or follow you in any way. Or can you share? Do you have a website, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn?
So I'm terrible. Yes, LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yes, I'm terrible.
We will put the link below.
Yes, I'm married to someone who's very private, and so that is we've only done as much social media as we
have to
professionally.
Well, I absolutely love following you and the pictures that you posted, especially the most recent one of you flying over New York City in Manhattan. That's really, and very near and dear to my heart as well. So thank you so much for joining us today on our Perfectly Planted episode. We loved having you.
You're welcome. I loved being here. You guys are so inspiring and so beautiful and so positive, and you guys just radiate. So, that's how positivity works, right? It's a mirror, right? I'm just radiating what you guys are giving off.
That's right. And we really appreciate all of you joining us today. One question for all of our viewers: what's one thing that you learned today from Dr. Lakhani that will positively impact your health and wellness? We really want to know. So please go ahead and comment and share with us.
And Priti, thank you. You are always a joy to talk to. For those who are with us today, I hope you enjoyed this as much as we did. If you did, please hit the like button and/or subscribe so that you can join us next time we chat with Dr. Lakhani or any one of the other amazing guests that have graced our presence here at Perfectly Planted. I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Be well, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.